Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ifunanya and it's lovely to have you. Today we're going to be making this beautiful milkmaid dress with a basque waistline. For this particular tutorial, we'll be drafting just the top part of the dress, and for the bottom I used an A-line pattern I had to make it. To make this pattern, I'm simply going to draft out my basic bodice pattern. If you do not know how to do this, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below for you to learn it before you can continue with the rest of the process for this dress. Now that I have the key parts of my basic bodice pattern, I'm going to come up by 1 inch from my underbust point. And then I'm just going to go ahead and mark out my armhole, which I forgot to do. Now that I have my armhole, I'm going to use my curved rule to curve into the dart, the first leg of the dart, just the way you see me doing it. So now from the dart point on the bust point, I'm going to mark out my dart measurement towards the side, which is 4 inches, and then I'm going to curve it to meet the second dart leg. I hope you get. Just watch what I'm doing and you won't be lost. After that, I'm just going to curve it all the way to my armhole. Now I'm just going to come up by 1.5 inches from my chest line because I don't want my cup to be too revealing, so I'm just going to mark it. But if you are comfortable with yours, you can leave it like that. So I'm just going to mark out my body measurements. That is for my waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the dart and 1 inch for sewing allowance. Now for the basque part, I'm going to come down from my waist line by 4.5 inches. I'm going to mark it and then close your dart first before you draw your basque line from the mark to the waistline. I forgot to close mine, but then I still did it and corrected my lines. So just watch what I'm going to do. So this is why I closed the dart and then I drew the line again. Now I'm just going to cut it out so that it will be easy for me to work with, to finish up rather. Now from the armhole line, I decided to come in by half an inch to add more support to the breast side in case the person is not going to wear a bra. So this is optional. You can do this if you want to, and you don't have to do it if you do not want to. After this, I simply just went ahead to cut out the cup part of the top so that I can focus more on the body. Now for the body, I'm simply going to close my dart permanently. I'm using a gum to close it so that I can make sure my basque line is perfect. Now I'm sure of my basque line, so I'm just going to cut it off and our body part is ready. I also went ahead to cross-check my measurements to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes. For the cup parts, I'm going to be using the slash and spread method. I use 1.5 inches to divide it before spreading it by 1.5 inches again on another pattern paper. Just watch what I'm doing, you're going to understand it better. Make sure you label the parts of the cup so that you don't mix them up. It is very important that you label. Now I'm just going to spread the pieces of my cup part on another pattern paper by 1.5 inches. Well, you can use 2 inches or more. It depends on how full you want your cup to be. I'm done spreading the cup parts. I'm just going to trace it out the on the new pattern paper so that it will be easy for me to cut. So that's all for the front bodice pattern. So now for the back, I'll be using the front piece to draft out the back. I'm simply going to fold in the basque line before placing it on another pattern paper. If you notice, I didn't give any zip allowance because I'll be using a side zip, but if you want your zip to be at the back, don't forget to put your zip allowance. After pinning it down, I'm just going to trace it out on the new pattern paper. I'm going to trace everything except for the cup dip. I'm just going to draw a straight line. Now that we're done tracing, that is all for the back piece of the top. Once again, I went ahead to cross-check my measurements to make sure that it was accurate, and then I did a little bit of contouring to the underbust side, which is I went in by 0.25 inches. But if you measure your underbust and it is the same, there's no need for this. But if it is slightly bigger, you can take it out. You can take out the excess from it, which is what I did. Now our patterns are ready to be used. I cut it out on the fabric and added necessary allowances to the parts that didn't have allowance. Once again, I forgot to record my sewing process and I'm sorry. Anyways, thanks for staying tuned. I'll see you next time. Bye.